YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over my August reads and picking my September TBR with a little bit of a twist this time. So we'll first dive into my August reads. August was a really great reading month for me. I feel like I say that like every month, but I keep reading my TBR and then some, and then being like really surprised that I do that. So I'm still going to categorize it as a pretty good reading month. I think it's a little lower, like star average wise. I feel like I didn't have as many like amazing standout reads, but I also didn't rate anything like low. Like I feel like everything is sitting between like 4 to like 4.5 stars. So like everything was still like overall good. I think we got in 11 books total. There's still one more book that I'm hoping I can finish before the 1st on Monday, but overall still getting really good vibes from it and still think it's going to be a good read. Okay, so getting into my August reads, we start off the month pretty strong with Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. Rated this one a 4.5. This one is kind of like an Indiana Jones inspired rom-com. So we are following Corey and her academic rival from college, Ford. And so her whole like career has been based on tracing back her heritage to like the Aztecs. And so her like college rival reaches out to her anonymously and is like, hey, there's this great research opportunity to look into like an ancient Mayan civilization and look for this warrior that Corey thinks she's descended from. And so she doesn't know at the time that it's her academic rival from college, but she gets on the plane, decides to go ahead and go do this, big expedition. And then she gets to the airport and realizes who's picking her up. So we start off really, really strong, lots of banter, a lot more into like their second chance, because not only were they academic rivals, but they like secretly were pining after each other and have been kind of pining after each other like this whole time. Like he's been following her career to a T. Her article is actually assigned reading for one of the classes he teaches at the college that he teaches at. And I just thought that was like so adorable. I actually really enjoyed the subplot in this as well, because obviously they're architects. They're figuring out what's going on with the, like area that they are digging up and trying to like uncover some history within. But it did take a little bit of time to get to the actual action. I feel like all of it was a lot of build up, even like the subplot was just building up for there to be like this much action at the very, very end. There wasn't a ton of action. So if you're like thinking it's going to be full Indiana Jones, probably not. Like not, but it still gives us vibes. It's still giving us like something. Like other things do happen. Like we have minor like action plot points, but like the whole, like running through a jungle to try to like get out of the way from like the big boulder that's rolling down the hill at you. Like that's not really happening. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but still overall really enjoyed it. Like I said, 4.5 stars. After that one, I honestly kind of wanted to turn my brain off a little bit and do something super light, super quick. So we went with Heartstopper Volume 2, gave this one 5 stars. So I guess I did technically have a 5-star read this month, but also, let's be real, I'm not going to rate a graphic novel like lower than a 5. Like, it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, it's a cute time. I'm not going to a graphic novel for, like revolutionary storytelling. So in this one, we are following Charlie and Nick, and we are picking up right where we left off with the first book. So I'm not going to spoil anything in that, but we get to see kind of how their relationship kind of grows. Not only Nick coming into his own within his friend group, but also Charlie kind of coming into his own with his sexual identity. So that was super fun, super interesting. Like I said, 5 stars. So after finishing up Heartstopper Volume 2, I went on ahead and picked up The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia. I ended up giving this one a 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed this one more for like vibes than like the actual plot. So this one is set in kind of like a gothic Victorian England like setting. So everyone, is like wearing like really dark colors, and the weather's kind of drab because they're in London. They're writing letters to each other. They have like super old school phones, so like you can't just like text someone or like dial a number like regular. It's like the old school kind of ways of communicating. But so we are following Alina, who inherits her father's kind of like apothecary pharmacy when he passes away. And in her spare time, she makes poisons for like the local women of her town to help them out with troublesome men that they come across. And so in Alina's kind of attempt to make her town a better place, people start getting murdered, and she thinks she figures out who's doing it. His name is Silas, but he's not human. He's not normal. So Alina and Silas decide to kind of partner up and do some research on how to kind of like help him with his little predicament, but also giving Alina a like little bit of a science, exploration vibe, because she is already being a scientist making these poisons, but being a woman, she's not really supposed to be going to school and like studying in the more traditional sense. So that's kind of where this story takes place. Like I said, it was a little bit more of a vibes read for me. I still gave it 4.25 stars because I was still having a really good time. The like extra characters and like the side plots that are kind of going on are also super interesting, but not as memorable as I was hoping. Like I said, just like a vibes read for me. But I did this one immersive reading, and I do recommend the audiobook. I feel like the like male narrator did a really great job. There's also like other kind of sound effects that happen in the story. It's not really a graphic audio necessarily, but there are things that are happening like on page that like make it seem like sounds, like creaking of floorboards and stuff like that, and that is like executed super well by these voice actors. So I do really recommend the audiobook for this one if you do pick it up. Okay, so after doing another little bit of a vibes read, I decided I really wanted to go back to the world from the first book that we picked up this month, and ended up picking up Temple of Swoon. So this is a continuation of the Raiders of the Lost Heart series. They technically can be read like separately. They are like kind of standalones because you're following different characters. But if you don't finish Raiders of the Lost Heart, you're going to be kind of confused as to where this one picks up. So in this one, we are following another college professor named Miriam, and she is basically Dr. Corey's kind of protege. So Corey is supposed to be going on this expedition with Ford, and she ends up being roped up into something else, and they're unable to make it. So she sends Miriam, who's never led an expedition by herself before. And on her way to this expedition dig site at the airport, Miriam runs into Raphael, who is actually a journalist, and he's there to make sure that Miriam doesn't uncover what she's trying to uncover. So they're already off to a super rocky start, but Raphael thinks she's so cute and so charming. He's just like immediately down bad for her. And I was having the greatest time. I was like giggling, kicking my feet. Like they were just so adorable. I ended up giving this one a 4.25 stars. So just a little bit below the first one in the series. I think that it had a little bit more depth to it in the first one because they had like that history of being academic rivals, but also like having secretly had crushes on each other, where Miriam and Raphael, like by the end of the book, they've only known each other for like 3 weeks. Like that wasn't like groundbreaking enough for me, but I also feel like this one paced just a little bit better. Like I didn't think I had to wait till the last like 10 pages for action, but like I also felt like the characters were getting into a lot of stuff like relatively quickly, having only known each other for a little bit of time. So I think that it was just like a little bit of a pacing thing with this one, wishing that somehow they'd known each other longer and the plot was like happening like at the right timing, instead of the plot happening at the right time, but then they like don't know each other. So it's kind of like, okay, you guys know each other for like 4 weeks. Like, why are you having this like deathbed I love you confession because you're like in the jungle? Like it just felt a little bit off pace, but still super excited to continue this story. I believe there's a third book coming out later this year, or maybe beginning of next year. We shall see. Okay, so after finishing Temple of Swoon, I ended up wanting to do another fantasy, but I wanted something more along the lines of Games and Trials, so we went with the Games Gods Play. In this one, we are following the games called Crucible, and so in this world, it's kind of set during modern times, but like a little bit of a spin on it. The Greek gods and goddesses, so think like Zeus, Hades, Persephone, Poseidon, Athena, Ares, like all of them are involved in this game called the Crucible. And so every, I believe it's 100 years, they pick a like mortal human from Earth to serve in their place during these games. And they go through trials picked out by each of the gods. So like Athena's had to do with love, Poseidon's had to do with the ocean, Zeus's had to do with, strength and courage, like all that kind of stuff. So in this book, we are following Lyra, who gets picked to represent Hades in the trial. And she's actually the first person to get to represent Hades because Hades doesn't usually play. He usually sits it out, he just hangs out in the underworld, and he doesn't partake in the games. Because basically what happens is not only does the human who wins the games get, riches, their wish granted, all of these things, but the god who wins the games, like their mortal wins these games, gets to be ruler of the entire kind of Greek gods and goddess Mount Olympus setup. So This whole time, Hades hasn't really wanted anything to do with it, but this year Hades is participating, and everyone thinks that's a little suspicious. No one's really happy about it, but Lyra is kind of playing in his stead and trying to uncover why exactly he, first and foremost, is playing this year, but also what is going to happen if he ends up winning, because Homegirl wants to win really bad. Like, really, really bad. So overall, I did enjoy this one. I gave it a 4.25 stars. I talked about it in my, I think it was my 24-hour? No, it was my reading notifications. So we finished this one in my reading notifications, and I did mention that Lyra is a little bit young for how old she's supposed to be. Like, she keeps mentioning being 23, but like, Homegirl's acting like 16 at best most of the time. Like, she's this like ultimate self-fulfilling prophecy, and like, she's the one shooting herself in the foot, but thinks that like the world's against her, which like kind of sad for her. But I was also like, girl, like, we got to get serious here. Like, you can do it. So overall, did really enjoy this one. I think it builds up for book 2 really, really well. Like, I'm not usually like a huge, like, oh my God, I can't wait to get book 2. But like, this one, like, book 2 is going to be so good and so epic. So I'm very excited for book 2. This one is also one that we finished in my reading pages for notifications, Planes, Trains, and All the Feels. I ended up giving this one a 4-star. I'm not going to get too into it since I did already go into depth and you guys basically watched me read this one in my last video. But overall, this one did give me a little bit of travel anxiety. Like, I'm kind of terrified to fly, just a little bit. Just a little bit. But overall, it was a good time. It was kind of funny. I did enjoy like a lot of the antics that were happening in it. I just think that it was like so insanely wild and a little bit like unrealistic for two people who meet the way that these two meet to kind of like become best buddies and just travel the country together. Like, I could never. I could never. Yeah, no. I wouldn't do that, but overall, had a pretty good time with this. It was still pretty funny, so gave it a 4-star. After that contemporary romance, I decided to go with Fortuna Sworn and started this one. It's the first book in a romantasy series. In this one, we're following our main character, Fortuna, and she is living in Colorado as like a human. She's not actually human, but it's easier for her to just pose as human and fit in with, you know, all of the regular people that she looks like she's passing as human, but she's actually like a mythical creature. And in this book, we start off with her actually getting kidnapped and like taken to like a mythical market where they're trying to sell like mythical creatures like nymphs and trolls, and all these other people are basically getting like sold on like a black market thing. So she ends up escaping, but while she's at this market, she meets a mysterious man who basically follows her back home and is like, hey, I know your brother went missing. Do you need help finding him? Which, like, first and foremost, she wasn't advertising that. But like, second of all, why do you know where her brother is? Like, that was just so like odd to me, like such a weird way for them to be introduced. I mean, I guess it got the plot going. So basically, Fortuna agrees to go with this man to the Unseelie court to help her brother out because her brother's been missing, and her main focus is to find her brother. And this one also features a little bit of games and trials. So Fortuna, in the process of all this stuff, has to prove herself to the Unseelie court. So that's kind of where things go with this first book. It's kind of a skinny legend. I think this one was under 300 pages. Yeah, you're at 298. But this one did take me quite a long time to finish. I could not get into it. I don't know if it's because I didn't immersive read it and that was kind of throwing me off, or like what the deal was, but I wasn't super obsessed with it. I also wasn't super obsessed with our male main character or the other male main character. Like, there's a second male main character that introduces like a potential love triangle situation. And I also really didn't like him either. Like, both of them were just like, eh. Like, meh. Like, I think Fortuna should just be single. Like, rescue your brother and get some cats, girl. I think you'd be better off for that. So overall, this one was a 3.75, so kind of one of my lower rated ones for the month. After being, I feel like, really, really romantasy heavy for the bulk of the month, I decided that I really wanted to pick up more contemporary stuff and was immediately kind of reminded why sometimes I don't love it, which is kind of sad because I did finally pick up People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars, which, I mean, is pretty high. Like, 4.5 out of 5 is high. But the only things that I did not like about this book all had to revolve around the mailman character and like how much more interesting he would be if this would have been like a romantasy. Let me explain. So in this one, we are following Poppy and Alex. So Poppy and Alex actually met during college. They're from like neighboring, like suburban subdivisions, I guess is how we could describe it. Like they're from neighboring towns, but they don't meet until they go to college. And then they get roped into road tripping back home together. And they end up having a really great time. They end up really hitting it off and kind of deciding that, these summer trips are what they want to do. So we're getting past and present timelines, but it's all in Poppy's point of view. And I think that that is kind of where it fell short for me. So we're not only hearing their vacation antics from like this year, this like one last trip that they're taking, but we're also hearing like past road trip and vacation kind of stories. So we can see a little bit more about their relationship and how they've grown and changed. So in this one, Poppy has decided to invite Alex on one last vacation. They haven't talked in about 2 years. And so they didn't do a vacation last year or the year before. And they're just like not really associated with each other anymore. And the male main character is a teacher, so he really only has summers off. Whereas Poppy, our main female character, is a journalist and she writes about traveling. So her friend is like, hey, when was the last time you like felt joy? Because she's feeling kind of slumpy. And she's like, oh, it was the last time I took a vacation with Alex. So her friend is like, hey, ring up Alex, see if he wants to go on vacation. Well, Alex's brother is getting married in California and she lives in New York. He lives in the Midwest. And so she decides, oh my gosh, we're going to go early. We're just going to hang out in California. And then your brother's wedding is going to happen and it'll be like the good old days, which in theory sounds great until they get to where they're supposed to be staying and the air conditioning doesn't work. And all these things start kind of going wrong. Alex has like a back spasm, which I thought was like a little bit funny, but also like a little too real because like they're like a little bit closer to my age than I want them to be. I think they're supposed to be like early 30s. And I was like, oh, I guess that's something I will have to think about in my very near future. But I do wish we had gotten the male main character's point of view because a lot of times I was like, oh, like I feel like a male main character in a fantasy novel wouldn't be acting like this. Like he didn't really have much of a personality until it came to like declaring his like undying devotion for Poppy. There came a point where I was like, is this character's main personality being tall and lying? Because like that's what it felt like Alex did a lot of during this book. Like, I just was not vibing with Alex. I thought Poppy was having a great time. Poppy was great. I loved her as an FMC. I feel like she was still kind of figuring herself out and deciding what she wants to do with her life and kind of coming to like a realization of how her choices have altered things for her in a point where like she can change it back, but she doesn't know if she wants to. And I thought that was super good. I liked Poppy as a character. Alex was just okay. I could have done without him, like honestly. Like I kind of wish it was Poppy taking a vacation by herself. But Alex was there too. So yeah, the main reason I did not love this, still gave it 4.5, but that's because I didn't really love Alex until the very end. And I think that that could have been saved by getting his point of view. But that's just me. So after reading People We Meet on Vacation, I decided let's go back to romantasy and realized that my audiobook for Kiss of the Basilisk had become available. So started reading that one. Ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars as well for kind of different reasons. Where People We Meet on Vacation fell short in the male love interest part. This one actually has 2 male love interests that I was obsessed with. Homegirl is in a love triangle. So in this one, we are following Temperance, but she goes by Tem. And basically in their society, all of the eligible bachelorettes of the town get kind of taught how to seduce the prince when he comes of age. So when he's 20, all of these 20-year-olds in his town get taught how to be like little seductresses. So Tem and the rest of these 20-year-old girls get sent to be with the basilisks, and they get taught kind of all of these little things, tips and tricks, ways to get men to, want to date them. And that's part of where things fell short for me, was in the world building. So you're telling me that every time a male royal in this kingdom becomes like of age, all of the females born around that time get trained to basically be a little slutty. But like, there was only like 13 of them. How big is your kingdom? Is this kingdom like there's no real like map to tell me like how big is this kingdom? Because 13 women at 20 years old doesn't sound like a lot. Or taken from like just a town, like how close is this town to the castle? And then also, why are the girls getting slut shamed for being taught how to get with the king? Like that's what you're supposed to do. But the like men in their town like want to marry them because they got to date the prince, but they don't want to marry them and think they're easy. So it's like pick one. Pick one. I also couldn't understand. So the basilisks are obviously large, like snake creatures, but they have a human form and they're allowed on the castle grounds. Like they go there multiple times. But like their reflection and chickens are supposed to be like what repulses them and like scares them away. But like their person form goes to the castle in this town, apparently full of chickens because Tem's mom is a chicken farmer. And I'm assuming there's mirrors in the palace in this castle where the royal family lives, so they would know the basilisk human forms aren't scared of mirrors. So it's just this like kind of awkward like power imbalance thing almost of like the humans are supposed to be in control, but why would the basilisk let the humans be in control? Because they're just puny little humans. I was very confused. But Tem is working with her basilisk trainer and falling for him while she's supposed to be competing in a kind of like bachelorette ish style. Try to like win the king's heart. So that was super fun. I had a good time. I liked both male love interests in this one. I picked one and then I would like flip a little bit and then I like stuck with the main one that I picked. And I did really like the ending. I do think it sets up again for a really great sequel because this one's going to have a sequel. The last book that I've finished in the month of August so far is All My Love. This one was picked up by my book bestie Cecilia, and this one is by Morgan Elizabeth. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars, mainly because I thought it was a little bit too long. So in this one, we have child best friends, 2 lovers, but it's a second chance. So in this book, we are following Stella, who decided after graduating high school that she was going to follow her childhood best friend Riggins on the road when his band becomes super successful and starts touring like America. And so we are following a then now timeline of not only when they're on the road and how that relationship kind of fizzled out and why she comes back to their hometown, but we're also seeing when they were like actual younger kids, like 16, 17, and that kind of dynamic that they've had for the majority of their lives. So Riggins comes back after his father passes away to kind of take care of his parents' estate and decides that he wants to win Stella back. And that's where we get the ball rolling. But with All My Love, I did really enjoy the then now timelines as well as the dual point of view. Because not only are we getting Stella's point of view, we're getting Riggins' point of view in both present and past timelines. So we can kind of see the character's headspace as they're going through these different things that are kind of opposing them from each other, making their relationship difficult for them to have. My one real gripe with this one, and I think why it was 4 stars instead of anything higher, is because I just felt like it was really long at some points. Like, there's like an entire chunk of the book, I'm going to say the first 40%, where every time Riggins sees her, he's like, hey, we need to talk. Like, okay, you're at her work. Like, she's kind of held captive here right now. And like, he'll show up to her house and be like, we need to talk. And she'll be like, no, we don't. And then he just drives away. And it's like, okay, I get it. I fully respect a respectful, like, consent king. But also, if you really need to talk to her that bad, like, just make her sit for like 2 minutes. Like, just like ask her, like, hey, like, I know you said you don't want to talk right now, but like, we really need to. Instead of being like, we need to talk. And then she says no, and then he walks away. I'm like, that's like a ton of their interactions. Like a lot of their interactions. And then it's just like Stella's inner monologue of like how bad their breakup was and how like bad it hurt her and like all these things that have happened to her since he's left. But it's also like, I think if you just tell him how you feel, he'll understand why you don't want to talk, or you can open the door to conversation about why you ended this badly. Because I do feel like they were one of those cases of like, I understand why you broke up. That was a valid reason to break up. But I also think you're different people now and your second chance makes sense. Because I don't usually love second chance. I usually hate Second Chance because it's one of like two things. Well, one of multiple things, but the main two is they broke up for a dumb reason, and I don't understand why they broke up in the first place, or they just straight up shouldn't have been together. Like, period. Like, I'm glad that they broke up and they should just stay apart. But with this one, I feel like they broke up for a valid reason, and they also should be getting back together because it's been like 7 years. Like, it's been a while. They were young, they were dumb, but they're better now. So that was all my love. I did really enjoy that one. Read it on Kindle Unlimited, so I feel like I plowed through it really, really quick. The last book that I'm hoping to finish in August, I want to get it done by the 1st, is Accomplice to the Villain. This is the 3rd book in the Assistant to the Villain series. I believe there's one more coming out after this, but because it's the 3rd book, I can't really say much about it. I really feel like the first one sets up the characters, and the second one and the third one, this one, are really, really focusing and leaning in on world building. Like, we're getting a completely new side of these kingdoms that we're focusing in on. We're getting a whole new like side of, you know, the lore of the magic system in this world. And I feel like that's a really fun, interesting way of keeping it fresh, having the first story really focused in on our like smaller set of characters, going a little bit broader with the second one, going even more broad with the third one. And I'm still having a really good time with this cast of characters. We're following Evie, who is the assistant to our villain. And she basically starts off, you know, working on payroll for the interns, making sure that Kingsley, his pet frog, is fed. And now here we are talking about, you know, fates, curses, all kinds of fun, cool lore. So I've been having a really good time with this one. I'm only about a third in. So I'm really hopeful that I can finish this by the end of the month. I don't really have any plans tomorrow. So I'm thinking tomorrow, Sunday, the 31st, I'm hoping to finish her. Getting into picking our TBR, like I said, this month we're going to do our TBR dice game, mainly because I'm obsessed with it and I think it's the absolute cutest thing I've ever made. But the twist that we're going to be doing on it is I have to pick books that are relevant for the book events I'm going to this month. I have Villains and Vixens on the 5th and the 6th, and then Books, Gowns, and Crowns on the 25th through the 27th, I believe is the days. I don't even remember. I don't even care. I just need to get more of these books read. I feel like I'm bringing like 30 books to each event, and I've read like 12. Like, this is getting bad. So what we're going to do is we're bending the rules just a little bit, only picking books that work for Books, Gowns, and Crowns and Villains and Vixens. And if the prompt that I pick like doesn't align with the book events, that's my only skips. So how last month I got priority TBR and I had to put People Me on a Vacation on, this month I'm allowing myself a skip, so that way I can just completely forego like any of those like weird ones where it's like not going to work. So if I get like banned book or like TV movie adaptation, I'm allowing a skip. We can skip it. I think that that's going to help us out. I'm really hoping that that will get me to read even more of these books because your girl's trying to read the books. So let me get my TBR dice game. We'll get the board out. We'll get the show rolling. I have the bulk of my Villains and Vixens books literally right next to me that I can see. And then I have my Books, Gowns, and Crowns books in a separate little pile kind of behind me, catty corner a little ways. So I have both books sectioned off for like what I need to bring. So fingers crossed I can now make good, effective choices on which books to read instead of just randomly willy-nilly picking and not paying attention, because they're literally right here and that's all I'm going to let myself pick. First roll. 2 and 3. Ooh, okay. This one's pretty good. A green cover. A green cover. I don't know if we're going to have green covers, guys. I know exactly what I'm doing. Oh my God. Look at, oh, okay. Wait, no, I don't. I don't know what I think I know what I'm doing. I think I know what I want because I have a really good option. But I also have other options. So we got to like peruse. We got to look around. So let me do that. But I think I know what I'm picking. Okay, so for our first prompt, green on the cover, we have two options that I'm kind of surprised by. So first and foremost is Court of Claws. This is the sequel to Queen of Roses. That one is the first book in, what is the series called? I already forgot what the series is called. I'll put it on the screen. I will put whatever the name of the series is somewhere on the screen right now because I don't remember what it's called. But we read Queen of Roses earlier this year. I believe we read that in July. I think it was July that we did Queen of Roses. Gave that one, I believe, like a 4.5 stars. And it's basically a King Arthur retelling, but with a twist, which I don't usually love retellings, but I still really enjoyed the retelling of that one. So with that one, we're following our main character who is sent on like a trek by her brother to find this like ancient relic. And if she finds this relic, he's not going to make her like join the nunnery, is basically where things are going with that one. And how she kind of uncovers different things about her identity that her father kept secret, since her brother is technically her half brother. And they are like loosely related, and her father had always treated her slightly differently than him. And so this one's a sequel to that. It has green leaves kind of all over the cover. So this is our option one. Option two is the one that I was originally thinking when I started looking at my covers, and it is A Feather So Black. This one is by Lyra Celine, and I believe this one is a like Black Swan retelling, or Swan Lake. I'm going to stop saying things I don't know. I'm just genuinely going to stop because I don't actually know what this one's about, but also has green on the cover. So I don't know if I want to try and get this one in, because that's the thing, is this one is for Villains and Vixens author. This one is for Books, Gowns, and Crowns author. So I'd have all month to finish this bad boy. I have like 4 days to finish this. But also, I could read this like on the plane. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with Court of Claws. Next roll, we're going with 1 and 5. So 1 and 5 is more than 500 pages. Oh my god, I hate myself. Okay, let's try to find a big beefy boy. Be right back. So for books with 500 or more pages, I found 2 main top contenders. So our first one is going to be Lady of Shadows. This is the second book in the Lady of Darkness series. So in this one, we are following our main character as she goes on a like secondary mission kind of with the male main love interest in the first book. Since this is a sequel, I don't really want to get too deep into it, but basically the way the first book leaves off, we are starting on kind of another new quest. And so it's a little bit of like a closed like journey in the first one of just figuring out like who everyone is, all their secret identities, how they're connected. And now we're going to actually do the thing that like we had set out to do. So that's where we're going with Lady of Shadows. And the other book that's in the running for over 600 pages is Glow of the Everflame. This one is the sequel to Spark of the Everflame that we picked up not last month, but the month before, also in July. This one we're following Diem, who is a kind of nurse who is helping the like royals after her mother goes missing. So that's really where I will leave that one. But I think Glow of the Everflame is going to be our pick. I think that this one has the audiobook available, so I can do immersive reading with this one. Pencole will be at Villains and Vixens, so I would love to have gotten this one at least started, if not fully finished, by the time I meet her next week. Let's go ahead and do our third roll. Kind of crazy, I think we're already on our third one. I feel like we just started picking. Okay, 3 and 5. 3, 5. Owned for over a year. Okay, that's not going to be super easy, but I feel like I can get there. I feel like I have things I've owned for over a year. I think I'm going to have to admit defeat and go with one I don't want to read, which is unfortunate. But my reason for not wanting to read it is not because I don't think I'm going to like it. I genuinely think this is going to scare me, and I don't like being scared. So our pick for owned for more than a year is going to be Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. But this one I bought a long time ago. I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can figure out when this was originally published. So 2023 was the original publication date. but I believe it was indie published before that. 2011. Yeah. But I bought this when I first got back into reading, thinking it was like a ghosty paranormal, like mystery. Like the main character, Cass, is a ghost hunter, and I thought that he was going to solve the murder of our female main character, Anna. And I don't think that's actually what's happening. I'm pretty sure it's like actual horror, and I don't read horror. But it's YA. So like, how scary can it be, right, guys? It's not gonna be that scary. I'll be okay, right? I don't know. I'm scared. Okay, we'll see how this goes. We're putting it on the TBR. We're being hopeful. It's giving us variety because so far right now we literally just have romantasy. And we need something that's not romantasy. I'm hoping to get another romance, like actual romance, before I have to lean on another fantasy. Because like both conventions are going to be romantasy heavy, but I'm worried I'm burning myself out on romantasy. But we'll roll for our fourth book, see where that gets us. Okay, now I have 3 and 6. 3, 6. Black on the cover. Okay, we can work with this one. We have so many black covers. So I know I literally just said 2 minutes ago, hey, it would be really cool if I could put like regular romance on the TBR. But this one just fits. Like the word black is literally on the cover. So we're going with A Feather So Black, and we're just going to give this one a go. Like I said, this one is for one of the authors at Books, Gowns, and Crowns, so I have a month to read this. So, fingers crossed, that one ends up being a good time. We shall see. Okay. I'm noticing the lighting change because it is sunset time here, and my ring light can only handle so much. But we're halfway through the TBR, so hopefully we don't have to rely on the ring light too much longer. 6 and 1. So 6, 1. Cartoon cover. God is real. This fully just converted me. Oh my God. This is perfect. Okay. So Lana Ferguson is going to be at one of the events I'm going to, Villains and Vixens. And I have 3 or 4 books right here that I am dying to read. So I don't know if I want to go with the one that I first purchased of hers or the one that I most recently purchased of hers. So, most recent purchase is Overruled. It's about 2 divorce lawyers who fall in love. The first book of hers that I purchased, though, was actually in my birthday book haul that I filmed way back in February, The Nanny. And this one's supposed to be pretty spicy. It's supposed to be basically about a girl who's down on her luck, who used to be a cam girl, moving in and being a live-in nanny for a guy who used to be a fan of her work. But in the meantime, I also purchased The Fake Mate, which is about werewolves. Which, I mean, September is as close to spooky season as you can be without being in spooky season. So maybe we want this one. I don't know. I think I might want a more contemporary spin, just because we do have a lot of romantasy. I mean, I have owned this one the longest since the beginning of the year. So I think I should be a good noodle and read the books I've owned for a while and go with The Nanny. But this opens it up, so if on our next roll we get romance, I can go with Overruled. We shall see if that happens, though. Okay, 3 and 3. Author duo. Okay. I don't have any author duos that I'm planning on seeing for either of these events. So we're going to skip that one. I forgot that prompt was on there. 4 and 4. That's kind of weird. 4 and 4. Red on the cover. 4 and 4 is red on the cover. Okay, let's see what red on the cover books we have, because I low-key feel like Anna Dressed in Blood was like our main one. She was that girl with red on the cover. And now I don't know where to go. So we'll see what red on the cover books I can come up with. Okay, so for red on the cover, I decided to go with 5 Broken Blades by May Corland. This one, I believe, is about a kingdom where 5, I don't know what they are to each other is the problem. 5 dangerous liars. So it's just people who are good at lying in this kingdom come together. And so they basically have what single objective is to kill the God King. This is the first in a trilogy, and I know the most recent one literally just came out. So I'm having May sign all of them when I go to Books, Gowns, and Crowns. So again, another one that's going to wait till the end of the month, which is pretty exciting. For a minute, I thought that I'd had this one for like over a year, and I was like, dang it, I could have used it instead of Anna Dressed in Blood. But like the funny thing about that is like, if I'd already picked this one, Anna Dressed in Blood is my only other red cover. So like I would have had to go with both anyway. So now we have 6. So we're going to roll for 2 more. 4 and 1. 4 and 1's orange on the cover. Okay, that one's a little weird. Do I have anything with... do we count that? Do we count like a tiny little bit of fire as orange? Because this is all I've got for orange then. I don't think we count... maybe we could count it. But I already have 1, 2, 3. I already have 3 Villains and Vixens authors. I don't think I'm going to read 3 books in 5 days. Like, that sounds like intense. I'm going to try it. We're going to see if we can read this. I mean, I'd still be reading it in the same month that I get assigned. So we're going with Living Legend by Ali Shanti. And I also don't know anything about this book. I started following the author because she was posting really funny, like, Instagram reels. And then I realized she was actually an author going to an event I was going to. So I just bought her book on an impulse. And I didn't research it at all. Good times. Good times. Okay, so that was roll number 7. So let's do our last one. 4 and 6. BookTube recommendation. Okay, we'll see if we can make that one work for any of these. I mean, like, I feel like maybe. Okay, so I decided to bend my rules just a little bit, and because romance is the square above 4 and 6, I decided to just throw overruled on here. I mean, it's my game. I make the rules. Also, I've heard people talk about this. Like, people have been talking about this on BookTube. They've been saying it's a new release. I'm not funny. I've never been funny in my life. I don't know why I make jokes. But we're counting it. We're counting it. I wanted to put it on here. None of the Villains and Vixens authors I've seen on BookTube. And actually, none of the any other ones. I feel like Spark of the Everflame is like as close as I've gotten to one of these authors being mentioned in someone's BookTube. And then also, oh, I could have done Lady of Shadows. Because I feel like a couple of booktubers that I follow really like that book series. Dang, should have done that. But I didn't. I already decided. I've made my choice. So let's go through and list off all of the books that we've picked for the TBR. So first pick, for green on the cover, we have Court of Claws by Briar Bolin. The next book that we picked for the TBR is Glow of the Everflame. This is 500 or more pages. The next book that we picked for the TBR is Owned for More Than a Year. So we did Anna Dressed in Blood by Kandare? If she could tell me how to pronounce her name when I meet her, that'd be really cool. But Anna Dressed in Blood, probably going to traumatize me, but that's okay. After that one, we picked a cover with black on the title and went with A Feather So Black. Our next prompt was a cartoon cover, so we went with The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. Our sixth prompt was a red cover, so we did Five Broken Blades by May Corland. The next prompt that we got was orange on the cover, so we're going to do Living Legends by Ali Shanti. And then the last prompt that we got, which I changed to being romance, is romance, so we went with Overruled by Lana Ferguson. So that is our overall TBR for the month of September. I'm very hopeful. I don't think we're going to read all of the Villains and Vixens books I want to read before Villains and Vixens, but a girl's remaining hopeful. I'm going to be optimistic about it. I think I have 4 and 3, or no, that's not how math works. I think I have 5 and 3. Yeah, I have 5 and 3. So I'm going to have to crank out a book a day, basically, if I want to actually read all the Villains and Vixens books before I go. Let's make a cute little stack and be like a little organized for once. Here we have our 8 books for the TBR. Let's see how this goes. A little nervous, like I said. I feel like I picked mainly villains and vixens authors on accident, but it's fine. I'm fine. This is great. Perfect. Awesome. Well, if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave. What emoji should you guys leave? I mean, I wanted this to be more fall books, but none of them scream fall. We've done a ghost emoji, haven't we? Because Anna's a ghost. We could do a ghost. Leave the little angel wing emoji. I'm going to put it on the screen. Put the angel wing emoji for Living Legend. That'll be fun. There's literally an angel wing right here. So put the angel wing emoji to let me know you made it to the end of the video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Hi, Bixby. Do you do intro with Mama? Good. Thank you, sweet boy. Okay, camera. You say hi, camera. Okay, is the light weird? I feel like the light is a little too high. Can you uppy so Mama can fix the light, please? Can you go over here? Please? Pretty princess, please? Okay, you come back up, okay? I just need to turn it. Okay. Is that different? Is that any different? Yeah? Yeah, it's different. Okay, come on. Come back. Okay. Now we're ready to go, okay? Don't miss it. I don't know how to get that to stay when I'm moving. In like Mexico, for a hot second, I thought that was volume 3. And I was like, wait, what? No, 2. I'm only on the second one. I'm not like a super big history buff, so I don't know the difference between any of the times. How do I talk? I just like threw that on the table. I'm sorry. I love you. But like there was a point where I was like, is this main guy's character? Oh, that reminds me. Okay. This one was picked up by my This one was where was I going with this? I have like my least favorite song from Man's Best Friend stuck in my head right now, which is like really unfortunate because I have a favorite song from that album. And my least favorite song is stuck in my head. Oh well, I'll just have to listen to the album on repeat again, like I have been literally all day. My hair's doing weird shit. Okay. Oh my god, that was like a cute little baby pun. I love it. Ah! Oh my god, can you move your fat head? I'm being so mean to Prince Naveen. He's done nothing wrong besides have a large head. I'm just bullying him. Should I put it on this side? Okay, maybe we'll put it on this side. Oh. I was like hitting it with my boob. And I was like, why is it all skewed? Because boobs. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never known what I'm doing. Why do I act like I know what I'm doing? We've got options. I think I need to talk to you guys. I keep turning around. I'm sorry I'm excluding you from conversation. I'm just talking to myself and my other 4 personalities. I just got really excited that I didn't have to stand up, but I do have to stand up. I just hit my knee so hard. Okay, we're gonna try to get this rolling before my camera battery dies. What are we doing here? And again, this one is for one of the events. Words. Oh, I see one I know I've owned for more than a year and I don't want it. Oh my god, this is so rude. I was really, really hopeful that I had owned a certain book more than a year. And then I just checked my Pango books and I haven't owned it for over a year. Gosh dang it. I feel like I don't know how to say word. Why does it look so dark? Okay. Well, I mean, it's nighttime. I'm like low-key filming this at like 7 p.m. 8 p.m. I literally keep putting the board like away and then having to take it back out. Like this is actually ruining my life. The next book that we picked was, what was it? What was the prompt? It wasn't a romance. It's something else. Cartoon cover. It's cartoon cover. Why does this 8 books feel so much larger than other stacks of 8 books? Ugh. I've been impaled. I don't know what any emojis look like, apparently. I've never been on a phone.